Hello, thank you for tuning in today. Just in case you were wondering, that audio clip was from Mia. The song is entitled Roar of the Lion of Judah. More of Mia's songs can be found on YouTube under Mia's Music. All right, hello, and thank you for tuning into today's show. On today's show, we're going to continue to use the show's namesake to break down the Word of God. I hope that after another application of the method, you will be well on your way to allowing the Word of God to not just be read by you, but permeate throughout your heart, soul, and mind. Okay, welcome to the last episode of the Four Horsemen. We're going to talk about the fourth seal. And this episode is actually going to be, I was thinking about making it more than one part, but it's going to be very extensive because there's so much to this fourth seal. The fourth seal is actually where the Antichrist gets unveiled as well. The whole world knows who he is. So there's a lot of verses, parallel verses that support this seal. Whereas the fifth seal, the Great Tribulation, has already begun, where the Lord is speaking to slain saints and telling them to rest a little while longer until their fellow brethren will be killed like they were. So that means that that those saints that were killed, they were killed in this seal, this fourth seal. So a lot of verses, Daniel, Revelation, Matthew. So we're going to go through the verses so you can get a decent understanding of this fourth seal in this last horseman. Okay, in Revelation 6 and 7, it says, "When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, 'Come.' And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and hell followed him, and they were given authority over a fourth of the earth, and to kill with sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by wild beasts of the earth." So here we have the introduction of the pale horse. Okay, so this is a continuation of what's already been happening prior to this seal. We remember that there was peace, then there was nation versus nation. The second seal took away the peace. So there was war and death and all the things associated with war started to occur, and it was a world war type of situation, economic uh, upheaval, scarcity, famine of food and famine of the word, disparity in terms of rich and poor. So that was the state. And if you remember in the last episode, we spoke about World War II, where there were these kind of competing ideologies. Well, this last seal or this last horseman is associated with the Antichrist and the final beast kingdom. And what he's going to do is not let there be a stalemate like there was at the end of World War II. He's going to establish his rule and his authority, so that there's really only one way, one major way that the people of the earth know of, and only one true victor, and that will be the beast, as the dragon will give him his power. So that is what's happening here, is that we're having a situation where war is continuing, as you see where it says with the sword, uh, and he has control over a significant portion of the earth. There's going to be widespread famine and pestilence, not just again of food, but of the word of God. So there is going to be a lot of upheaval that this horseman is going to bring about and continue from the prior trials that came upon the earth. There's going to be more focus on the saints in this seal. As we remember in the fifth seal, it talks about uh, those who were killed before. They're killed here in this fourth seal as the economic system gets corrected, which we'll talk about. The peace that was left, there's a form of peace that is set up. And what we talk about later is that the people of the earth are in awe of this champion that is unveiled in this fourth seal. So let's talk about some of the verses that are associated with this seal. All right. All right. So there is going to be a great falling away. Now, we spoke about this in the last episode. Now, these things happen, some of these things happen more of a transitional type of situation. Now, when the seal opens, everything associated with that seal opens at that time. But there's falling away right now, and we haven't even opened the second seal. So there will always be a form of falling away, but this is going to be a significant reduction of the those who say they are followers of the Lord. They're going to leave in large numbers, and the word says that when that happens, that has to happen before the Antichrist is revealed. So we can go back and we can reflect on the falling away and those individuals betraying one another and hating one another and turning each other in, as the Antichrist sets up the solution to the problems that have occurred in the earlier seals. So he's going to set up his authority, his economic system, his religious system where they will worship him. So when that happens, if you want to be a part of the system and you want to be able to buy and sell, then you're going to have to fully subscribe. So what happens is those individuals that have the testimony of Yeshua and they choose not to subscribe, well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be public enemy number one. And those who walked with them at one time will turn against them. And this will be a time of false prophets will also rise, and they shall deceive many. And because the iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So iniquity is lawlessness, right? Lawlessness. So, and that's not talking about human laws, but the laws of God. So what is this is suggesting is that when people move away from loving God and loving their neighbor as themselves, which is the uh, the two great commandments, then there's really no love, right? Because God is love. So when we move away from his ways, then there is no love. The love that these false prophets are going to be talking about is not true love. And that's what we're going to find out. So let's look at many different parallel verses. So what I'm going to do is move away from this PowerPoint type format because there's so many verses associated with this. And I really would like to just keep this in one part. So we're just going to go through all the related verses, all the key ones, not all of them, but all the key ones, and then kind of touch on some of the ones that have certain relevance to kind of, so you can kind of get an understanding of the full context of what this seal brings on the earth. So let's go over here. All right. So more parallel verses. Let's continue on with Matthew, because these Matthew verses are all related to the fourth seal. So there's a whole bunch of Matthew verses in this chapter. So let's keep going, because all of these are related to the fourth seal. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And keep in mind, this is actually going to be repeated. The third angel is going to say that. He's going to remind them after the gospel is preached. And says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness to all nations, and then shall the end come. So keep in mind, this gospel being preached into all the world is not solely dependent on people. God is in control of when the end is going to come. And that's why in the book of Revelation, the first angel in chapter 14 actually preaches the everlasting gospel to the entire globe. So, and that moves us towards the return, quickly towards the return of Christ. And that's why it says, and then shall the end come. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever read, let him understand. So now we're talking about the beast himself standing in the holy place. Um, and what it then says here is that those who are in Judea, because that's where the physical holy place would be, and then we also know that the temple is also the body, but specifically we're speaking of a holy place in the land. So it says, let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on his housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So this great tribulation is brought about by the beast. And the saints are the object of that tribulation. This is the beginning of it in Israel, right here in this context, and the individuals are told to flee, right? To flee, to run away, right? To get away from what is about to happen, the tribulation that has never happened before, nor shall it ever happen again. So again, this is all associated with the fourth seal. So these things are going to happen, and we should obviously notice that that you don't want to be in close proximics to the beast's kingdom during these days and times. So that's why the Lord tells them to go to the mountains, right? To flee, right? To leave civilization, right? So, so you're no longer in the world, and to take refuge, right, in the earth, right, into the mountains, to take refuge into the earth. It's just very similar to what happened to the woman in chapter 12 of Revelation, where it says that the earth helped her. So we want to be mindful of this. We actually need to leave the world, but we don't have to leave the earth. The world is Satan's, but the earth is the Lord's. All right. So, and eventually, right, where we're moving towards is that the world will no longer be the Satan's either. We're moving away from that as we progress down the path of these seals. Okay, so let's take a look here at 2 Thessalonians. It says, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So why is he being called the son of perdition? Because he used to walk with us, right? Well, he called himself a follower of the Lord, right? So he's a son of perdition because he left. And that's what John says, that the Antichrist Antichrist used to walk. So he used to walk with the Lord. He used to follow, or used to believe, and he has decided to leave and be with his true Father, who oppose and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshiped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So this is essentially very closely related to the abomination of desolation. He's standing in the holy place, essentially exalting himself above all that is God, right? So you have the physical holy place, which is in the land, but you also have the temple, which is the body. right? And he exalts himself in the minds and hearts of the people and says that he's God in their body. And they accept him. So we're going to move. We're going to move and we're going to continue. So here it says in 2 Thessalonians 2:9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Right? So many people are going to follow him, as to the point where the book of Revelation says that they will worship him and the dragon, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Right? So let us go to the book of Daniel, and it's talking about this last kingdom. It says, and whereas you saw the feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So it talks about his kingdom, and it talks about how pervasive it will be and the control that he has. But at the same time, it also says that there will still be division, right? And we do know that the Lord said, if there's division in the kingdom, guess what cannot happen? It cannot stand, right? So it will not be as cohesive. It says the kingdom shall be divided, right? So it will not stand. So that is foreshadowing, letting us know that this kingdom cannot be the finality of man. It cannot be the way things will be. It will fall just as the prior kingdoms before it. Only God's kingdom is forever. So then we go down to Daniel chapter 7. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given to his hand until the time and times and dividing of time. Now, we spoke about this in prior episodes. This is the 3.5 years, a time being a year, times being 2 years, and the dividing of a year being a half a year. This is the 3.5 years that he will continue to wear out the saints, and that will be the great tribulation time period. That he will be continuing to wear out the saints. But let's talk about the saints a little bit and some of the things that they're going to be experiencing during that time. In Daniel 11:3-32, it says, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. Now, this is saying that individuals are going to, this is really associated also with the falling away, right? So he's saying that people who will leave the covenant and they will fall away based off of the words of the dragon and the beast. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword and by flame and by captivity and by spoil many days. So there's going to be leaders among the saints that are going to be teaching many people to ensure that they have enough oil to get through the midnight, right? Not like the 10 virgins, 5 of which did not have enough oil, which is the word of God, right? So then what did the 5 wise ones say? Go buy and sell. But what we're going to learn, and you may not have heard this about those other 5 foolish virgins, is that in the time of midnight, if you're able to buy and sell, that means that you have fully subscribed to the beast system and have his mark. So the mere fact that they are being told to buy and sell shows that they did not have enough testimony so that they can endure the harshest times, the midnight, right? And then they go to those who are buying and selling in order to, quote unquote, get more oil. But it's more of a metaphor. The reality is that the Lord is coming. He's here, but they're going to people who are not waiting for him. Why? And they're actually able to interact with those people who are not waiting for him and to buy from them. Why? Because they were foolish, right? They succumbed and they did not want to partake in the patience, and they were able to buy and sell because the beast was able to convince them to buy into his system. Therefore, they truly were foolish. In Daniel 11:34, now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries, and some of them of understanding shall fall to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for the time appointed. All right. So again, we're still right around the fourth seal here, where the saints are being worn out. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. All right. So as you can see, it's very consistent with this Antichrist, how he disparages the ways of that he left, being the son of perdition, and turns away from God, much as his father, the dragon, has done the same thing. In Revelation 13:2, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and deceit and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? So here we have a situation where this individual who caused so much death in this fourth seal, right? Now he has become the essential champion and the victor, the true, the somewhat undisputed, from the standpoint that there is no real power that can truly challenge him. Even though there's division presently, no one can war against him. And he has set up somewhat of a finality that started at the beginning of the second seal. So they stopped that. The war has ended, and now individuals are worshiping him, as the dragon has given him his power and authority, and he is essentially ruling. And there was given to him a mouth. Here is that mouth again, speaking great things and blasphemies. When you see the word blasphemies, you know that he's speaking against God, right? Just as we saw in Daniel. And power was given to him to continue 42 months. So here's the key word here, continue. So he's already been in place doing what he does. And now we have the last 3.5 years, right? Which we just saw again. So and these last 3.5 years we spoke about before are very significant for the woman who will be kept in protection, and the two witnesses will also be preaching the 3.5 years. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given to him to make war with the saints. Here's him wearing out the saints again, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. You can see that, right? That's why they said, who can war with him? He doesn't have a direct challenger. And I beheld another beast. Now here's the false prophet, right, coming up out of the earth. As you remember in the book of in Matthew, he said false prophets will arise. Well, here's the false prophet coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he did great wonders, so that he made fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, right? And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now, here's the part that we spoke about earlier regarding the 5 foolish virgins. Now, we remember in the previous seal, there was economic upheaval, and the rich there was still disparity, and the poor had to work a whole day just to get bread. Well, the beast sets up an economic system that all who want to partake and buy and sell had to subscribe to him. And so let's go. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, right? See, he includes the rich. They do not get a free ticket, right? They have to worship him as well. And rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has an understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, or in other words, 666. And the New Earth website, actually, in the Bible study section, actually shows you how to use the Hebrew language to do this calculation, the counting. All right, so what's happening here, right? Why don't you go and buy from those who sell, right? That's what the wise virgins said, right? They said that because these foolish virgins, they gave up, right? They did not persevere. They did not have enough word to endure the midnight. So they were able to buy or sell. So they looked down upon them and said, well, why don't you go buy and sell since you subscribe to the beast system? How do we know that they had, that they were not truly of the way? Because when they came back, the Lord says, I do not know you. The last time he said that in a similar verse, he essentially said that those individuals that he did not know were cast out into outer darkness. Now, why would he do that, right? Because they left him. That's why. That's why they were able to buy and sell. So now let's go here in Revelation 14:6. It says, and I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Right? So what's happening here? An angel is going to preach the gospel. Right? So wherever man fell short, this angel will preach, and there will not be any error in his preaching. Right? And the whole earth will hear it. And then we know the end is shortly thereafter, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in their forehead or his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, whoever worships the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yeshua. Then the dragon became furious with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring and those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Yeshua. And he stood on the sand of the sea. So here it's defining who this dragon and this beast and the false prophet and the woman that we speak of in the Babylonian, um, the mystery woman of Babylon, that's also spoken of in the book of Revelation. This is who they place much of their emphasis on. These saints who keep the commandments of God, have the faith of Yeshua and the testimony of Yeshua. uh, Down here, it speaks of the fifth seal coming forth, where it says, "And I heard a voice from heaven saying to him, Right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works do follow them." So we do remember the fifth seal talks about those who were um, killed by the beast and his system. um, there's going to be continuation of that. So this voice from heaven says that they are blessed who end up being martyred because of this evil world system that is essentially directed by the dragon, who has given his authority and his power to the beast. Now, keep in mind the testimony of Yeshua, which many of the saints were destroyed for or killed for, not destroyed, but killed for, is the spirit of prophecy. So why does that make a difference? Why so much the spirit of prophecy? Well, because prophecy unveils what the dragon is all about and who he is, right? So when you have individuals speaking against you when you're trying to establish your kingdom, and you have them testifying what the Lord has spoken of you, then they become a significant nuisance. So therefore, they become public enemy. Number one, that is what we'll talk about in the fifth seal, the testimony. That's what they were killed for, the testimony. And it is the testimony of Yeshua, which is the spirit of prophecy. All right, so that is it. We're going to stop on this note, and we'll go into the fifth seal next episode. That is the end of this week's episode. That is the end of this week's episode. I hope you will tune in next week on From Observation to Meditation. Shalom.